How are we doing, everybody? Raven fans, Oriole fans. So thank you for joining us this week with Ravorisports. Thank you for joining us as well. No matter how you're doing it on our YouTube or our Facebook, as we do our main stream every week. Down at the bottom, you can see all of our social media platforms there. Uh, Ravorisports at gmail.com. Reach out to me if you are looking for any merchandise as well. Genesis Notary Services. So really doing some good work there with our notary business, looking to expand that as well. You can book it right on the website, on our Facebook page. You can book a session and meet with me anytime. We'll come right out and take care of that for you. Also, too, on the bottom as well, you're going to see run across the start date for the full opening of our Ravorisports full website. So we are going to be able to buy products on our website. A lot of Ravens, Orioles merchandise, a lot of resale merchandise will be on the website on our first day, February 12th, Super Bowl Sunday. All right. So thank you very much for that. Welcome today. Today we're recording this on Tuesday. So like a lot of you football fans, we're all a little sad today for good reason, obvious reason. Those of us that watched the Monday night game last night saw what happened to Damar Hamlin. I saw a lot of content creators say, well, they're not going to be recording today. I don't think Shannon Sharp showed up today. He was there was a lot of one. There's no way to handle it. I'll say that. I'm talking specifically now to the fans. To you out there that watched it, or Buffalo fans, or football fans, or anything like that. There's no one way to feel when you see something horrible like that. There's no one way to behave. There's no one way to grieve. There's no one way to be. We're all different in that sense. The one thing that I would say to everybody is let's all be respectful to his family. Let's all be respectful to the Bills organization, those players who horrified, like we all are, what we saw in the game Monday. So let's all be respectful of that as a whole for everybody. Our prayers are up. We're going to do it right now here. Hold within your heart, within yours. Renew my mind, body, soul. I am lost because I come to you with grace and give us your life. You also give us the gift of infinite joy. Give me strength to move forward with the path that you have laid out for me. So I looked at that. That was a prayer that's said for people that have a heart attack. That's not unusual. Unfortunately, anywhere where people have heart attacks and get sick. It's terrible, period. And I certainly understand people that didn't feel like going to work today. I certainly understand people that didn't feel like recording a video. I certainly understand people that didn't feel like doing anything. We are going to move forward today with our video. But I certainly do understand people that do that felt that way. Talk about a couple things around that last night as well. One, I thought ESPN did a fantastic job. Lisa Salters, I thought especially, was very good. I mean, she's a former WBL Baltimore reporter. Dealt with that, I thought, as well. She could. Her, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Scott, they look shook. That's saying a lot considering how long they've been in broadcasting. The way they sounded. I mean, I just heard it again. Lisa Salters talk about Damar Hamlin on the radio. Like, she looked really taken aback. As well she should. This man had a heart attack on sudden impact. Very hard to do. So we're all hoping for the best. I don't know the result as of this recording. I'm hoping, from when I understand we've just refreshed. He's still in critical condition at a local hospital. So we're hoping for the best, hoping that he can turn around and uh, get out of the hospital and get on with it, more importantly, away from football or anything else the rest of his life. Most important thing. Uh, that's the main thing. I thought ESPN was great. I've seen a lot of criticism of the league today that didn't right away. Eventually, they did the right thing. Eventually, they did the right thing and just stopped the game. Those players didn't feel like playing. Those coaches didn't feel like coaching. It was the right thing to do to not play a football game or try and finish a football game, even in a game important in that matter as far as division and all that other stuff. That's the right thing to do. A long time ago, WWE. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge WWE guy, and I thought about this all day. Owen Hart years ago. I must have watched and have watched every WWF WWE pay per view for 20 something years. For whatever reason, I didn't get to watch that one. I think I didn't have money or whatever it was. I almost don't remember the reason. But unfortunately, that night, Owen Hart passed away. He was lowered into the ring. He used to have this blue blazer gimmick, and he used to get lowered into the ring and fall down on a, he used to go in on a, I almost want to say scaffold, but it wasn't scaffold. He got lowered in on a cable, basically, into the ring. And that night, the cable broke. He hit his head right on the ring apron, on the metal of the ring apron. Sudden impact killed him right away. He hit his head. And they kept the show going. Shame on them. To this day, I will not watch that pay-per-view. Never watch it and won't watch it. So, because that's despicable that you continued on with that when there's a dead body in the ring. And in that particular case, they knew he had died. So the NFL did the right thing eventually. They take us in heat because some people said, well, warm up. I got no real beef. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you're there to play a football game. So the fact that they decided that maybe they'd have to go back out there, whatever, I've got no beef with that. But eventually they did the right thing and do it. But again, there's no one way to react. There's no one way to behave. There's no one way to act in that situation. I think the thing to do, and I'm going to say at the top and say it again, let's all be respectful to them, to the families, to all of those people that are involved in this with the Bills organization and the Bengals. Let's pray for those doctors and nurses and medical people that are fighting to keep this young man alive. Let's hope that we have a good result, that I don't have to come back on here and do another video with the worst. We can come back on and talk like football fans only after that. So that's pretty much all I have on that. So I am going to go ahead and continue with this stream. I did decide to continue. I thought about canceling, but I said, let's go ahead and let's continue. Let's continue with our stream. But it would have been, that would have been totally inappropriate. To start with football, with the game Sunday and with all that right away. So let's go ahead, move forward. Let's continue. Let's go ahead and talk a little football today about the game that we all love and why we watched the game in the first place. Let's talk about the Ravens and the Steelers. So we are going to talk about the game. Ravens did actually play on Sunday night. Let me upload the graphics here. everything that happened now is in debating who's going to have. So I don't think I even uploaded the graphics properly. So I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and we're going to get to it here. That is the score of the game, 16-13. Ravens were unsuccessful. They did lose to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did win the game in the fourth quarter. Last drive, good drive at the end by Kenny Pickett. I thought it was outstanding the way he played at the end in the last drive. Steelers ran the ball a lot in this one. Again, Ravens, no offense, got to score. They ever since Lamar Jackson hasn't been there, you haven't scored at all. I mean, I think they've been under 20 points at a time. Tyler Huntley's played. That was Tyler Huntley's night. 24 of 31, 130 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick, 7 rushes, 24 yards. I'm also starting to think that this is who it's going to be in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. There's no indication that Lamar is going to be around. Harbaugh is definitely not sounding like it. I mean, nobody. I think I'm not sure about practice this week yet. I mean, as far as that goes, if there are games, by the way, let's mention that. Considering what happened with DeMar Hamlin, I do think. This is just opinion. I haven't heard this, but I do think there's a possibility that we might not even have games, depending on the. So we'll see how that goes, but. I don't think we're going to have Lamar in it regardless, the way it is. Huntley, I think, is a good enough quarterback. Dink dunk. He kind of throws short passes. He doesn't really throw downfield at all. He doesn't really have the arm strength to really hit guys downfield in traffic when he has to force it in. That's where he gets his interception. The only time he really ever goes deep downfield is when, like, the guy's wide open, like you saw with Sammy Watkins last week or something like that. Or he goes to like the edge, like Mark Andrews or something like where it's sideline. He keeps safe stuff. So that's kind of what it is. Coach Harbaugh called out Greg Roman. That was a call out as far as I'm concerned with J.K. Dobbins. He called him out because he didn't play at all. He had really 2 carries for J.K. Dobbins. Obviously Dobbins 17 carries, 93 yards. So he had a good game. J.K. I thought was very good in this football game. Personally, and this is just me, I think this kind of reaffirms kind of what I've been saying. He does not like bell cow. He doesn't like one guy getting all the action. He wants to have 2 guys and rotation and situational. And he doesn't like one guy getting all the carries. And I think that's kind of what they did in this one, and Harbaugh didn't like it and things like that. That's saying something about Roman, like his future here with the team. I think definitely I think people are unnecessarily hard on him. I don't know what people expect with the personnel they have, but that when he calls him out publicly like that, that's kind of what happened to. That was kind of a clue with Wink Martindale. He doesn't often do that. Call out a coach like that. Andrews. Really returned to a strong game. 9 receptions, 100 yards. He really caught the. I thought he looked really good. That looked like the Mark Andrews that we know and have seen. Bad news is, again, nobody else helped him. He had 130. Think about it. 130 yards passing. 100 to Mark Andrews. One guy. Crazy. Nobody's really stepping up to help him out. If he doesn't have a good night, there's no passing game at all outside of him. Nobody else is getting open. I'm watching these routes. These guys are not getting separation at all. I will say the only defense I have for any of these receivers is Huntley kind of gives up quick on a play. If it's not there, he's Lamar, I think, has more arm strength or more accuracy, more confidence. He will kind of maybe try and force it or something. Huntley's not going to do that. Huntley's just, he's going to take off running or take second or whatever. So I think nobody has really stepped up to help him out. Let's shout out Chuck Clark. It was good. Chuck Clark, I thought, tackled well in this one. I think he's had a good year. flat out they were trying to get rid of him. She drafted the guy in the first round, like Kyle Hamilton, at your spot. They couldn't. I don't think they. I don't want to say they couldn't trade him, but they didn't get what they wanted. I think like they weren't just gonna trade him away for nothing. You know, if they had gotten like a Marquise Brown like type trade, like a second round or first, so then they would have absolutely pulled through. They didn't get it, so they kept him. I think that's what they were going to do, and he's played well. Whatever happens with him in the offseason, I think Chuck Clark is going to be starting for somebody next year. Kyle Hamilton has really come along, but Chuck Clark, I thought was great this game. I thought he really played well. 10 tackles. It kind of showed up on the stat sheet what he went ahead and did. So shout out to him for what he did during the game. Steelers, the other side. I thought the Steelers offense really showed up in the fourth quarter. I thought the Steelers offense pretty much showed up in the fourth quarter. That last drive, Kenny Pickett was really good. Kenny Pickett really showed out pretty good on that last drive. Very tough throws that he made on that last drive. I thought Kenny Pickett made. That was what this missing kind of with Tyler Huntley. You know, those tough throws in tight windows. I thought the coverage the Ravens actually did, I mean, as much as he's a guy forgiven of the team, was actually good overall. It's hard to ever defend good coverage when somebody scores, but I thought the coverage was decent enough. I did. They just made a lot of tough catches. Fairmouth with a tough catch. Pickens with a tough catch. Trap. So that's kind of exactly what happened there. They had a lot of tough catches. And I thought Pickett really showed his bone, really showed a lot of maintaining that situation. I was very impressed with the way he played. Najee Harris was fantastic. I think he went over I think if he didn't go over the 1,000-yard barrier, he's pretty close now. Najee Harris, 22 carries, 112 yards, 111 yards. Teams have kind of figured out that, you know, they're going to have to load up and get something in this run game. I think that's what teams are starting to do. They're doing it on both sides. What is the Ravens' strength? They run the ball well. They stop the run well. And so I saw big packages all night from Pittsburgh in this one to go ahead and get those rush yards. Harbaugh, frankly, the president, he kind of surprised it. We really weren't expecting that. He better start expecting it, certainly in the playoffs. That's what teams are going to start doing. They're going to start loading that box in there because they're going to have to, because that's what the Ravens do well. And so I think that's what happened. I think Najee Harris is pretty good. There's been some down on him this year. I think he's good enough. I think a lot of his issues come from he's had some injuries and the line hasn't been as good. But I think Najee Harris going forward is pretty good. He's a guy that we're going to have to worry about in the next couple of years. Pat Fairmouth, second-round pick last year at tight end. Very, very good. Very good catches on that last drive. Fairmouth, I think, kind of reminds me of the guy he had for years, Heath Miller. He's really in that category. Very productive receiving tight end. If he's not, I don't think he's at the level of a Mark Andrews or like a Travis Kelce or anything like that, but I think he's in the ballpark there. I think he's in the top half of the league. I think like for a young quarterback, if you want to go ahead and develop somebody, a young quarterback like that, one thing that you definitely want to do is get a young tight end that he can grow with, kind of like Lamar and Mark Andrews. You want a guy that you can grow with to kind of give that security blanket option for the young player. So that's something that definitely that you want to do. So I think Fairmouth, I think, was good. Not a lot of passing yards, but I mean, even that, again, you see the difference. Kind of spread the ball around a little bit there. That was kind of the difference there. They kind of spread the ball around a little bit there compared to the Ravens, where they pretty much only had but one guy. Oh, I'm gonna talk about all three guys on defense here for Pittsburgh. Minka Fitzpatrick, I got to spell right this week. There you go. T.J. Watt and Cameron Hayward. Hayward didn't show up on the stat sheet. If you watched it, you saw the impact he had. Kind of busting up the middle there on a lot of plays. I thought Cameron Hayward really makes a huge impact for them. Cameron Hayward is, I think, one of the better defensive tackles in the league. Very good. Very good rush end on a 3-4 defense, like that old traditional 3-4 defense that Pittsburgh has. TJ Watt, I thought, hasn't been the same guy we saw, but more and more and more, I think he's rounding back into form. He's really good. I can't believe he got voted to the Pro Bowl, though. I mean, he missed like half the season, as good as he is. But this was, and I say that definitely, this was the first time all season I thought the line looked like a struggle. Because T.J. Watt is a force of nature. And Mike Fitzpatrick is awesome. We know how good he is. I think he's been underrated as a player for many years. He's definitely the best player on that defense. I think on their back end for sure. The corners have played fairly decent, but I think on their back end, I mean, he's clearly their best player. So I don't think there's a lot of difference between these two teams. As constructed, I think on the back end there, I think you got two guys that really two teams that are similar in style, two teams that are similar in ability. Despite the record, I think the Steelers had some issues this year, and I think once they kind of had some health, once they got Watt back, they were there. Ravens' issues are for real on offense passing. We all see it. I mean, you have a backup quarterback, and you have no receiver protection. I mean, it's not even fun. It's not even like we were saying earlier in the year. Well, like mediocre. I mean, you're getting nothing there. They had 30 yards to anybody else other than Andrews. That's not going to work when you go to the playoffs and play some of these games and some of these teams that we're going to see here. So definitely that's going to be a issue going forward. All right, so we went ahead and took a look at that game. Again, this was about what I thought it was going to be. Close Ravens-Steelers game. Went down to the last minute or two, about what we've seen for the last 20 years, from the Bill Cowher, Brian Billick era to what we see now, the more modern John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. Yeah. That's about right with these two teams. So we have to talk about football element of this because of what happened last night. So as I'm recording this right now, and this is still fluid, we have no result. So I don't know what the status of this game is going to be Sunday. If we are, I wouldn't think it's going to be canceled. I don't know. But we're going to talk like it's going to go on as it's supposed to. One thing that has been announced about Buffalo and the Bengals on Monday, they are not going to go ahead and replay this game this week. Whatever that means. So as of now, there's no result for the game. So as far as division and all that, we don't know. Right now, the Bengals are just one game away. So I don't know what that means for the Ravens exactly. So let's go ahead and move over to that graphic there. So the Ravens are one game away. I had 11-5 on the graphic because they were leading the game, so I don't know exactly what that is there as far as that means going forward. But we'll see how that works. All right, so let's take a look here. Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, fantastic. 4,000 yards passing, 34 TDs. Interception total a little high. He takes a lot of risks. He throws into traffic. I mean, and I would too with those great receivers that he has. So I think Joe Burrow is going to be one of the better quarterbacks. Is one of the, widely considered now one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Some have him number 1, definitely in the MVP conversation. He's got great receivers. He's got great receivers. he's got those great receivers. Joe Mixon, run game is really good. 199 yards, 199 touches, rather, 787. That's deceptive, I think, because also in his case, he's missed some games. So he's missed some games. So I think had he had the full complement of games, I think he would have had more sack total, et cetera, in his season. Not more sack total, more rushing total, et cetera, in the season. I think it was light because definitely, and also too, they've been shuffling him in and out of the lineup this year as well. So definitely keep that in mind for Joe Mixon. This is if it's not Justin Jefferson, this is the best receiver in the NFL. Jamar Chase, 960 yards. Well, you might be saying, well, that's not so great, right? But I think, remember, he missed 4 or 5 games. And they really didn't play the one on Monday yet. So that's pretty good, considering everything else that's went on. Jamar Chase has been really good. Jamar Chase has been really good all season. I believe, talent-wise, he is really the best receiver in the league. No question about it. It's either him right now, Justin Jefferson, in the number 1 spot. Right up there, Devontae Adams, right around there, Tyreek Hill, right around there. I don't have a problem if you say any of those guys, but definitely those guys are top shelf there. I think the Bengals defense has always been a bit overrated. I kind of I looked at them statistically. It's funny to me that nobody mentions that their defense is kind of average. It's not horrible. It's just kind of on the average side. I think also to their pass rushers, which I thought was the strength of them, have been kind of having down years. You look at that, Sam Hubbard, 6.5 sacks. I think he's leading the way in sacks for them. Trey Hendrickson has had double-digit sacks multiple years. Is down a lot as well, 6 sacks in and out of the lineup. I think their back end is kind of not good. I thought Von Bell, they're kind of overrated in my opinion. I think the bad news is our pass game may not be strong enough to take advantage of the weak secondary that they have. I think they have. So keep that in mind as well going forward. So we are going to have, hopefully we have a game Sunday. Well, we don't know. We don't know if we're going to have a game. I don't know if he's going to be canceled or not. But as of right now, the game's wrong. And the Bengals are going to go ahead and go out there as well. So let's go ahead and take a look. Ravens going to have a hard time beating the Bengals, I think, without Lamar. Just as facts. I'd like to think that they would. I don't know. Again, with this, for instance, had they been able to win, and we know those through the division, they might be resting players. I don't know what the status is going to be for them in this one. As far as a lot of guys, how they go ahead and go about handling that in this one. I thought the medical staff did a fabulous job on Monday as well with everything that they had to deal with. So shout out to them, everything that they did I thought it was very trying circumstances that they had to deal with, and I thought they did a very good job. All right, so let's go ahead with this here. We're going to go ahead and go over the game. So definitely, if we're going to have some games on as well. Games are on Saturday and Sunday. So keep in mind. So I thought for sure the Sunday night game was going to be Jacksonville and Tennessee because that's the winner take all. The winner is in and the loser's out in that division. So, I mean, I thought that's for sure that's the way that was going to go. So it is not. It's a different game than that, and we'll go ahead and talk about that in the Big Five. So our Big Five, so these are the biggest 5 games on the schedule that are not Raven games. Big Five. And let's talk about Tennessee and Jacksonville. This is for the AFC South title. The winner is the AFC South champion. They're going to win the division. They're going to be the 4th seed, get a home game in the playoffs. The loser is going home, going fishing. Quote Charles Barkley and Artie Johnson, etc. in that game. They're not going to play anymore. It's hard to take Tennessee in this one. Tennessee we're 7-3. Now they're 7-8. They've lost 5 straight. There's going to be no Tannehill for them. I didn't even see Malik Willis in the last game for them. Teams are just loading up and just stopping the run on and that's easier said than done against these guys. They were able to mask a lot of their issues. I think their defense is falling off too. They were earlier in the year really playing well defensively, and they're just not right now. They're just not playing as well. Jacksonville, I think Trevor Lawrence has woke up and really started to play well, really starting to put it together. He's been fantastic. Travis Etienne looks terrific. He missed all last year. Every time you see him, big run. Looks like Clint Portis. When I see him, he looks fantastic. So great job on the draft last year, getting those 2 guys. Jaguars may be the team going forward too. A lot of other teams in their division are struggling with quarterback, looking for a quarterback, and Jacksonville definitely has theirs with Trevor Lawrence going forward. Jets were eliminated, so they're no longer in contention for the playoffs. Dolphins are still in flickering. So Dolphins are fighting still for a playoff spot. Last week, looks like I made an error. Last week I was talking about Tua getting hurt. Tua, and have at least got him to it, and he didn't play at all. He's been concussion protocol. It'll be interesting to see what the Dolphins do going forward with Tua. I think he's good enough, but he's injured a lot. The concussion thing is serious. He is, even in Alabama, he had trouble staying healthy. When he is right, ball never touches the ground, very accurate, especially with those great receivers that they have in Miami. So very interesting to see what happens with this. Jets, I think, are the same boat. I think they're just looking for a quarterback. I can't imagine they'd stay with Mike White. He's limited. I think he's a good enough backup. He's better than Zach Wilson. I think I actually like the Dolphins, and I actually like the Jets in this game. I think they'll play a little better. Nothing to lose in this one, like Miami. I think Miami, though, really more dependent on their quarterback. We don't even know if we'll have Teddy Bridgewater. They may be playing a 3rd stringer in this one, like the Jets in this one. Giants. I've been getting on them all year. I've been saying lousy things about the Giants, despite the record. I thought, honestly, they looked great the last few weeks. That was even though they played the Colts, that was a convincing win. I thought this is good coaching by Brian Daboll. Absolutely. Because they're getting better as they go. And that's what you want to look for as a coach. As the team getting better as they go. I still think I don't know how much talent is really there. They have issues. I would doubt seriously they win the Super Bowl. This is probably my least favorite team win the Super Bowl, but they deserve credit to get there. Eagles have a problem without Jalen Hurts. Minshew's not doing well. And they may, man, I think they're kind of maybe hoping that the Giants don't take this one seriously now that they're already in, because they really need that number one seed. See if they can get Jalen Hurts back if he comes back in the playoffs. That extra week, they really do need that extra week, Giants. I'm gonna take Giants. I'm gonna take Giants the way the Eagles have looked without Jalen Hurts. I mean, they really have looked like a whole different team there in recent weeks. Oh, here we go. Wow, Buffalo. What's their state of mind right now? I mean, I saw that. I was like, man, that got to be. I can't imagine what the state of mind is right now. This is probably the furthest thing from their mind. New England is fighting for the playoffs right now. They win and they get in. They have a tough game, but the Bills. What is their state of mind if they don't cancel this game? See what happened. You have a teammate fighting for his life right now in the hospital. Integral part of the team. I'm not sure they play this game. I would say New England wins simply because they're playing for so much in this game. What if I would say New England? I would say New England would play this game. The Bills' state of mind. I can't imagine they're laser focused on this. What was overshadowed was all the let's shout out the Lions getting in the Big Five for the first time. They have a game Sunday night, so they may be eliminated by the time it starts, but we'll see. Depends on what Seattle does. This may be another game that's where it take off. The Lions are right there with Green Bay. Green Bay controls their own fate as it will, if you could believe that term. But if they win, they're in. So if they beat the Lions on Sunday night, they will go ahead and get into the playoffs as a wild card. It took them about half a season to figure out what they needed to do on offense and defense. Defense got a lot better. Offense had to get a lot better. So that was a thing that had to happen there. So definitely like Green Bay in this game, obviously. The Lions playing in the cold weather, I don't know about any of that as far as playing in a cold weather game like that. Green Bay. Plus, they're not used to playing in those type of games as well. So that factors in as well. So keep that in mind. I like the pack in this one. On the screen, Duke Mayo Bowl. Terps playing against North Carolina State in this game. So Terps were victorious in this one. Get that graphic up there. 16-12. So Terps did win. 23 ranked Terps, 7-5 heading into the game, 8-4 heading into the game. Terps had more passing yards in this one. They're a better complete team. I thought they were a sharper team. I kind of like what I suspected. ACC is terrible as well. ACC isn't any good, and they didn't play as well against a good Big Ten team. I think Maryland's definitely going in the right direction. Tua Tagovailoa, 19 for 37, 221 yards, 1 TD. He had 2 picks in this one. Roman Hemby, 24 carries, 65 yards. Deshaun Jones, 4 receptions, 79 yards. They were productive offensively. They've been productive all season long against most teams. I think the Terps are definitely are making a push next year to be in the top 25. No question about it. They have that type of talent. North Carolina State, I think I don't think they get much better or worse. They have a good young quarterback, Ben Finley. Uh, I think like 22 for 40 had to throw a lot. They really couldn't run the ball in this one at all. They really struggled with that. Um, Also at the end, that was so. Why would I wouldn't have agreed to that. I don't care what the contract dumping mayo on my head. I'm not doing that. What the heck? The winner of the game gets mayo dumped on his head. For those of you who didn't, what? I'm not doing that. I don't care who the sponsor. I'm not, man. Forget that. I'm not getting mayonnaise poured on my head so I can get sick or something. No, I'm not. That's crazy. I guess it's all part of the business, etc. But it's whatever. Maryland won, so I think it's a good recruiting tool for them, good building block for them going forward. Can they vault into that area where they can become one of the better teams in the Big Ten? It's very tough to win in the Big Ten. Can they use this as a springboard to get there and vault into that category and be one of the better teams in the Big Ten? So shout out to the Terps for being victorious in the bowl game. So good job by everybody at Maryland. So the college season is going to end. We got a title game here on the 9th. That is right. The Horned Frogs, the smallest school attendance-wise in all of the BCS. TCU going against the Georgia Bulldogs. 14-0. Game is going to be at SoFi Stadium on ESPN. Watching the games, the semifinal games. I thought these two teams were sometimes in life it's better to be lucky than good. It does exist. I thought kind of both of these teams were outplayed. I thought the better quarterback was on the other side. I thought they played. I thought this one at TCU, their quarterback Max Duggan. I thought he was probably better than JJ McCarty of Michigan, but. I thought Michigan pretty much outplayed them. I thought they kind of got lucky here and were able to go ahead and get away with it. Michigan made some key errors, and so they were able to go ahead and get in. You look at the other side, Stetson Bennett. I think I got that right for a senior out of Georgia. You look at what he's done this season. Again, I thought he got kind of outplayed by C.J. Stroud. I thought C.J. Stroud was fantastic in this game. But the defense didn't hold up. They kind of matched it just enough. At the end, critical error. And again, Georgia was able to go ahead and win after that miss. So I think these two teams deserve to be there. This is proof of the playoff. Everybody's complaining about teams not. But look, they beat Michigan. I mean, they should be. I think this will be closer than everybody thinks. I'm going to take Georgia in this game. Bulldogs, I thought were good, but we'll see how this goes going forward. I thought the Bulldogs, Georgia Bulldogs, should win the national championship on the 9th. They've pretty much replaced Alabama going forward. I'll say that. Alabama looked good in the bowl game, but they're just taking recruit after recruit after recruit. They haven't had a great quarterback yet. Bennett's been good, but they haven't had that great quarterback yet. So we'll see how that goes going forward. So there you go. And we will talk about that once it is over. Thank you. All right. So let's get to this. I've been talking about this for a while, and we're going to talk about it again next week when you see his apartment. The Orioles TV network is terrible. MASN. First of all, let me talk about what I'm talking about. One, I'm not talking about what everybody talks about, what the main thing. The broadcast is fine. I've got no problem. I think Jim Palmer is phenomenal. I think They got rid of Gary Thorne, which really was ridiculous. But I thought, for the most part, their broadcast is fine. I think Kevin Brown is fine. I think a lot of their announcers are fine. I don't watch a lot of Nats games. When I can see the Nats broadcasts are fine. So let's get that out there. I'm not particularly talking about the broadcast of the games. I'm talking about the network itself is terrible. First thing, you're not servicing any of us, the internet customers, at all. You can't get it. Right now, like in very recently, I can get on the streaming service I have here is I can get Marquee Sports Network. That's the Cubs. That's Chicago. I can get that, but I can't get MASN. So I think right now what you're doing is you're not serving the public there with that. I'm gonna talk about WWE again a little bit. Years ago, 2012, I think it was 2012, is when they started WWE Network, and it had a big pay-per-view cable revenue stream. Each month they would do the pay-per-views, 12 a year, 13 or whatever, sometimes 13, 14, whatever, and they would charge $30 and get a big source of revenue from it, right? And what they did was, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get ahead of the streaming thing, and we're gonna charge $10 a month to get WWE Network, and then you can get all those shows for $10 a month. All you do is get a monthly subscription and do that and get the $10 a month on a streaming service. Sounds good, right? And so a lot of fans did that, and they saved a lot of money on the streaming service. Baseball and MASN are doing just the opposite. They're not getting ahead of it. They're not moving forward with anything. It's not just Baltimore doing it. You're seeing this in a lot of Major League Baseball. The MASN is worse because they're not. You can't even get it on the cable replacement services. Hulu Live TV, YouTube TV. You can't get MASN. They're not doing it because, and this was reported, they have a contract with the cable systems, and that's most of their revenue. That's about 70% of their revenue is basically from the cable companies, the cable contracts that they have, not from advertising, not from anybody else. So most of the dollars come in from just people ordering cable, getting a subscription, and then you have to get MASN, and they can charge a sports fee, etc. Okay, so that leaves all of us, a lot of people out in the cold. That's terrible. That's not serving the audience at all. This year, I think for once, I think you can actually stream the games if you actually have cable. I believe that was the first of 2022 when they actually started doing that, which is incredible. Secondly, you show no program. You again, and I'm only picking on this cable channel, but like on this cable channel, you can get the minor league games, you can get the Iowa, et cetera, et cetera. They're not doing any of that stuff. Like, where is that? Like, you got the Keys games. Not the Keys. They're not with the Keys anymore. But like the Bay Sox is right there. Hagerstown is right there. Several minor league teams. Like, you got no. What are you talking about? You got no program, and you got two channels you're charging for. So they're not putting any effort into making the product good. I must have sent an email after email after email after email. On this network here, on this channel here, this is a small YouTube. We've covered every Ravens game. We've covered City Poly game. I've covered Army Navy game. I've covered we just talked about like a third or fourth Maryland game. We talked about Maryland basketball. We talked about all those things. It's no such thing. They actually show ESPN News. Like, it's 2022. They actually show ESPN News. This is not good. I mean, when you look at those of you that are from New York, I can only imagine what you're thinking when you see MASN or something like that, or you look at these channels. The Nats are also getting houses. Like, this is one of the largest markets in the entire United States, Washington. large in size and also large in dollars. A lot of high income people live in Washington D.C. and they're kind of stuck with this too. Like they could get, and I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't know what the number is. I'm not going to say it, but let's make it 100 or 300 million. I mean, they could get 800 million, 900 million dollars for the cable rights, and they're kind of stuck with this deal where the O's own 77% of it, and compared to the 23% that the Nats own. I think that's the correct number. That's report. I think that was definitely, but it's something in that range. Orioles own about 70% plus. Nats about 30% of the revenue. Orioles, that was a deal that the O's made getting into, when the Nats moved from Montreal getting into the league. So they're kind of stuck with that. It's unfortunate, in my opinion, that it's a lack of caring by the organization to put out a product that's halfway decent. That's kind of my bigger thing. And also, too, it kind of makes me concerned about the team when you look at that. Like, okay, you're going to put that on television. What? You show ESPN News. You're showing, you have college games you could show. You have things. I mean, and that's kind of like what they say. They pick up the feed. Now, I will admit, the challenge they do have, and this is kind of what they're all facing, is the declining cable revenue. That's a real thing. So this is not just what they're doing. And that's probably what they would say, that this is a challenge that they're all facing. CNN is cutting staff big time right now. I mean, they're one of the largest, they're the largest cable news outlet by a mile, and they're cutting. And because they're worried about that. So I give some action in there. In the interview I heard a little while ago, it was John Angelos. He talked about the pandemic. But but I can tell you this, and they can get mad. And they don't care about that television network. They only care about one thing, and that is getting the cable dollars so they can pad the pockets. With that money from Comcast and DirecTV and Dish and those big networks, so they can go ahead and that's all they care about. They don't care about anything. I saw them make a huge ad, big deal. Oh, we're so happy. They don't put any effort into it at all, and that's unfortunate for the fans because I think Oriole fans and Nats fans deserve better than that. Deserve better than that product that they're getting from that. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about it on our next stream, because I see this is part 1. Next week we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the TV network. We're going to talk about some of the moves they've actually made. On the screen, I had Gary Thorne. That was terrible. What happened to him? So we'll go over that as well. So thank you for staying with us this week with Ravorisports. It's all a tough week for all of us as football fans, as fans. I hope a lot of you are going to join me with my family when we say prayer for the Hamlin family, prayer for that group as well. I mentioned the schedule a couple days. We'll see. I will come back and do some stand. If there are some changes with schedule, we'll keep following on that for the schedule and see what happens going forward. So thank you very much for staying with us this week, watching our video. Like and subscribe to all of our social media and YouTube, Facebook platform. Thank you. You have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. Happy New Year 2023.